Right, so welcome back to another video on this channel. Welcome back to another episode of my Premier League Game Week predictions, and this is Game Week 19, so we are now at the halfway stage of the Premier League season. And yeah, there's a double game week this week, but however, there originally was supposed to be 16 games played this weekend, but of course Everton versus Aston Villa and Leeds versus Southampton have both been cancelled, which means that there is now only 14 games this weekend, which even still this video should be very, very long regardless. So yeah, I think we'll just get straight into these predictions now, because we do have a lot of games to predict in this episode. Starting off at Molyneux, Wolverhampton Wanderers versus West Bromwich Albion. Now, it is two sides that are on very, very poor form. I mean, both teams haven't won in the league for a considerable amount of time now. Wolves clearly missing Raul Jimenez. I mean, obviously, I think he got injured in October or November, and since then, Wolves really haven't looked the same whatsoever. They haven't had the same bite in attack. And yeah, if Wolves were to miss Jimenez for the end of the season, it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if they did finish in the bottom half of the Premier League this season. West Brom, on the other hand, they might give a debut to their new signing, Robert Snodgrass from West Ham, who I think is a very good signing for them, and I think will suit Sam Allardyce's system down to the ground. And yeah, both sides really need a win in this one, but purely because I think Wolves have way too much quality for this West Brom team, I've gone for a marginal Wolves win. I've gone for Wolves 1, West Bromwich Albion 0. Now onto the London Stadium for the game between West Ham United and Burnley. Now, of course, West Ham in their last Premier League game did get themselves 3 points from Goodison Park, courtesy of a Thomas Souček winner, and they did win against Stockport on Monday night in the FA Cup as well. Burnley did lose to United, of course, courtesy of a Paul Pogba goal during the week, but in fairness, they didn't actually play too badly whatsoever, if I'm being perfectly honest, and I think they probably did deserve a draw. Burnley's fixture list now, though, is really starting to congest, because of course it did take them 120 minutes of football to get through in the FA Cup last weekend, and obviously they played against United in midweek, and now they play a game at the weekend. And if I'm being brutally honest, I mean, it's two teams that, let's be honest, aren't really fond of attacking or scoring for that matter, and that is why I've gone for a really, really boring draw here. I've gone for West Ham 0, Burnley 0, and yeah, I just can't really see a goal in this one. Now on to Elland Road for Leeds United versus Brighton and Hove Albion. Now, it's been an absolute nightmare new year for Leeds. I mean, they were hammered by Spurs in the Premier League by 3-0 in their first game of the year, and then last weekend, of course, they were embarrassed by Crawley Town 3-0 in the FA Cup. It's been much the opposite for Brighton, though, because they put 3 goals past a very, very solid Wolves backline, and as well during midweek as well, they actually held their own against Manchester City, and I think actually caused them a lot of problems. And I think one player that is definitely going to interest me in this game is Percy Tau, who of course has returned from his loan at Anderlecht, and yeah, he looked really, really promising during the week, and I'm quite interested to see him now in a game where Brighton will get a lot more possession in this one. And I think this will be a very interesting spectacle, because of course these are two sides in the league that do create a lot of chances but just aren't really clinical, and for that reason I do think it'll be a low scoring draw. I think it'll be Leeds 1, Brighton Hove Albion 1, but definitely a game that could go either way, and I do think it'll be a very interesting one. Now on to Craven Cottage, Fulham versus Chelsea for the West London derby. Now, I'm not going to lie, Frank Lampard is under severe pressure, as we all know, and in my personal opinion, if we do lose this one, I think he probably will lose his job, and it makes the task harder that we're missing N'Golo Kante, who is suspended for this one. Fulham have now drawn their last 5 games in the Premier League and looking a lot more resolute than they have at the start of the season, and of course did get a very, very good point from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium during the week as well, so this will be a very, very interesting contest, and the pressure is really on Chelsea, if I'm honest. And to be honest, I really cannot bear the thought of us losing this one, and that is why I think we will bounce back to winning ways in this one. I think it'll be a marginal win for Chelsea. I think it'll be Fulham 1, Chelsea 2, but yeah, I'm not going to lie, I'm not really confident of us winning any game in the Premier League at this moment in time, so it takes a lot of guts for me to be able to say we'll win this. Now onto the King Power Stadium, Leicester City versus Southampton. Now, this definitely does have the ingredients for a very good game, because both sides are having very good seasons, and both sides do play some very good football at times. Apparently for Southampton, a big miss for them will be Danny Ings, because apparently he could be injured. Now, obviously that isn't confirmed yet, but it says on Fantasy Football that he has a 25% chance of playing, so I'm going to take it as it is for that one. And to be honest, I just think Leicester, they're really, really strong. I think that Leicester will take some beating this season, and they've really been on form as well recently as well. I think that Leicester will win this one relatively comfortably. I think it will be Leicester 3, Southampton 1, but yeah, I will not write Southampton out of this whatsoever, because if Danny Ings does in fact play, I think it'll be a lot closer than obviously this prediction suggests. Now onto the game at Bramall Lane between Sheffield United and Tottenham Hotspur. Now, Sheffield United finally got their first win of the season against Newcastle in midweek. I mean, absolutely finally, hallelujah. And that's now 2 wins on the bounce for them, because of course they did pick up a win last weekend in their FA Cup tie against Bristol Rovers. However, Tottenham will be massively desperate to win here, because they have dropped a lot of points over the last month, and of course they looked really just stale, I'd say, against Fulham during the week. And look, I keep predicting Tottenham to win on this show, and they just never seem to win, but surely they're not going to lose this one. To the bottom of the table, Sheffield United, who only have 5 points to their name, and surely Sheffield United will not have the minerals to actually compete with this Tottenham side, and for that reason I've gone with Sheffield United 0, Tottenham 2, but yeah, you just never know in the Premier League, especially this season, because it has been mad. And now onto the game of the weekend at Anfield, Liverpool versus Manchester United, the top 2 going head to head at Anfield, and 3 points separates these two sides, and surprisingly enough, it is Manchester United that take the lead in the Premier League title race at this moment in time, 3 points ahead of Liverpool. Liverpool though have looked really, really shaky shaky in recent weeks, and that is now 3 winless games on the bounce for them, and to be honest, they just really can't afford to lose this one, because if they do lose this one, they will pretty much hand United the initiative in the title race. And this is a really tough one to call, don't get me wrong, because of course it is two sides that are very, very good in terms of quality, and I just feel like Liverpool are the more experienced side in this scenario. I mean, they've been in title races before. This United team can't really say the same at this moment in time. And look, a draw would not surprise me in this one whatsoever, but simply because of the fact I think Liverpool are overall a stronger starting 11 and overall are more experienced in this scenario in a title challenge. I think that Liverpool will win this one by an absolute margin. I think it will be Liverpool 2, Manchester United 1. But yeah, if United were to pull off a win in this one, I mean, they'd definitely be looked at in a higher regard and definitely a team not to look down on. Now onto the game at the Etihad, Manchester City versus Crystal Palace, and City have got themselves back into the title race in the last month or so. I mean, that is now 5 wins on the bounce for them and a completely revolutionised defence with Ruben Dias and John Stones at centre-back. Palace did get themselves a point from the Emirates last night against Arsenal, and that actually did look relatively promising and actually could have won the game if they had taken one of the chances, and also they actually do not have the worst of records at the Etihad against Manchester City either. But yeah, given City's form, I just do think that they will get 3 points here. They really should, and you know, they don't really score a lot, but they don't really concede any, if I'm honest, and that is why I've gone for Manchester City 2, Crystal Palace 0, and yeah, I just think that it makes sense for me to go with that scoreline. Now on to the game at the Emirates, Arsenal versus Newcastle United. Now of course Newcastle have now gone 8 games without a win, and yeah, as I keep mentioning on this channel, you know, the style of play Newcastle use is absolutely just horrible. Arsenal's winning run though ended last night, as I said, by Crystal Palace in that 0-0 draw, and you know, Newcastle actually did, you know, to get defeated by Arsenal in the FA Cup last weekend after extra time, 120 minutes of football in that 2-0 win for Arsenal. And to be honest, I just think Arsenal have a lot more quality than this Newcastle team and do play way better football, even though that's not really a hard thing, but I do think Arsenal will win this relatively comfortably. I think it will be Arsenal 3, Newcastle 1, and yeah, I just really can't see Newcastle winning this. However, I do think they will score, so you know, that has to be something. Now on to the first game of the double game week, and that will take place at the London Stadium, West Ham United versus West Bromwich Albion. Now obviously I've said everything I need to say about both these sides in terms of their recent form. West Brom do actually have a few former West Ham guys in their ranks, like of course Sam Allardyce himself, Grady Diangana, and of course Robert Snodgrass, who has just made that move from West Ham to West Brom. And to be honest, I just have that inkling, I just have that feeling that West Brom are just going to shithouse a win here against West Ham, and that is why I've gone for West Ham 0, West Brom 1. But yeah, it's definitely a game that could go either way and would be an absolutely huge 3 points for West Brom if they could pull it off. Now onto the game at the King Power Stadium, Chelsea's second game of this game week, Leicester City versus Chelsea at the King Power Stadium. Now this is a very difficult one for me to predict because we could genuinely have a new manager going into this game if we do lose to Fulham. But regardless of whether we have a new manager or not, or whether Frank Lampard is still in charge, it will be a very tough task because of course, as I said, Leicester are a very strong team and will take some beating for a lot of teams, if not all teams in the Premier League this season. And to be honest, I'm really not confident at this moment in time, as I said, that we will win any game this season, and to be honest, I think that our performance versus Fulham will massively influence my prediction on this one. But at this moment in time, in my current mindset, I think it will be just about a draw. I've gone for Leicester City 1, Chelsea 1, but yeah, overall my prediction could very much change based on our performance and of course our result against Fulham on Saturday. Now on to another game in West London, a game at Craven Cottage between Fulham and Manchester United. Now this one should be very interesting as well, especially given the impact that of course United's result against Liverpool will have on this game. But the thing is, I really can't see Fulham losing to both Chelsea and United in the space of half a week, and yeah, overall I just feel like United have way too much quality for this Fulham team, and I think they should probably win this one. And yeah, you just can't really bet against United when they have players like Bruno Fernandes who will just make the impact, and yeah, that's why I've gone for Fulham 1, Manchester United 3. But overall, wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if we did see a Fulham upset in this one, like we saw against Tottenham in midweek. Now on to the second last game of this game week, Manchester City versus Aston Villa at the Etihad, and this one should be a very, very interesting one if of course it does go ahead, because Aston Villa have been struggling with the coronavirus in their training ground, so this game might not even go ahead because their game against Everton of course did get cancelled for that reason. Villa's first team hasn't actually played since New Year's Day when they lost United 2-1 at Old Trafford, and obviously a lack of sharpness could be a very big issue for them in this game if this game of course does go ahead. But Villa will have a fully fit team, though I think that Ross Barkley actually is due to come back for this one as well, of course if it goes ahead, as I keep saying. And overall I think this one will be a really close game, and it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if we did see a Villa upset, and for that reason I think that City are actually due some drop points, and that is why I've gone for Manchester City 2, Aston Villa 2. So maybe a bit of a, you know, wild prediction, but overall I do feel like Villa could get something from this game. And now on to the final game of the game week, Liverpool versus Burnley at Turf Moor, and although Burnley are relatively tough to beat for most sides in the league, I think I'd be absolutely amazed if they come away with a win in this one, simply because as well that Liverpool are looking to get back onto form, and overall I think this should be a relatively straightforward performance for Liverpool. I think it will be a comfortable win for them. I think it will be Liverpool 3, Burnley 0, but yeah, I just think that, you know, I can't see anything other than a Liverpool comfortable win here if I'm honest. And yes, so those are my Premier League Game Week 19 predictions. If you want to go and leave your predictions for these games down in the comment section below, please feel free to do so, because because I'm very interested to see how you guys think these games will go, and yeah, we're very much treated to some very good games in this extended game week. And yeah, so that'll bring us to the end of this video. So if you did enjoy, make sure to drop a like. As per usual, 20 likes will be massively appreciated by myself, and also if you are new to the channel, if you could subscribe, that'd be very much appreciated, because we are now looking to hit 1,300 subscribers as soon as we possibly can. If you do subscribe to the channel, it costs you absolutely nothing and makes my day, so it is a win-win situation, and I'll see you guys in my next video. See ya.